What's going on, guys? It's your boy Big Drip, and today we have a goodbye video. A goodbye to a dear friend, a good friend, both to myself and Jack alike. This friend meant the world to us. A name for that friend, you ask? Bethesda. See, for you, those of you who don't know, recently, ZeniMax, the parent company to Bethesda, was purchased by the devil that is known as Bill Gates for a whopping 7.5 billion, yes, I said billion, dollars, all just to spite me for roasting their ugly ass console that came out a couple of months ago. So here we are to say goodbye to a dear, dear friend with our top 10 of our favorite Bethesda games. So myself and Jack are here to say goodbye. Jack, say hello to the people for me.
Hello to the people and goodbye to Bethesda. Me and Justice are PlayStation people, so we are not happy about this. So this is probably going to be the end of Bethesda's relationship with us.
That's right. That's right. May they rest in peace. Jack, may you start us off with this list, please.
All right. So for number 10, I picked the first Dishonored game. It came out in 2012. It was made by Arcane Studios, published by Bethesda. It's a really cool story. I liked it a lot. It's sort of set in this sort of fantasy world where you play a bodyguard by the name of Corvo who protects a princess named Emily. And when her mother, the queen, is killed and she is kidnapped, Corvo has to go on a quest to find her. You have open world, but kind of condensed, small. And it is a stealth game. It gives you many options in terms of weaponry, style, and certain powers you can use to accomplish your missions. And every mission can have a different outcome depending on how you want to do it. You want to use stealth because the game punishes you if you decide to go crazy and start shooting everything. You need to use stealth. You have to use your wits. You have to use your imagination. There are so many different ways to do each mission, some way easier than others. You just have to explore the map a little bit. It is a great game. It's a great series, and Dishonored is my number 10 pick.
That leads us into number 9, Fallout Shelter. A bit of an odd pick, I know, but I feel it deserves a spot. Because when it comes to mobile games, especially those based off an actual game, I'm extremely biased in that I hate them. So that being said, this is my number 9. It almost has a Sims-esque play and style to it with more of a Fallout skin on it. It's a lot of fun, very wholesome. This game is much better than it should be because you hear Fallout mobile game and you immediately think trash money grab, right? Or at least I did. Wrong. Game is actually really fun and wholesome. You build a little community of underground radiation mutants in a nuclear apocalyptic future, but they all have a nice and cozy living style, forever smiling, not a care in the dead world. I suggest checking it out. You'll have a lot of fun with it. Very simple, very easy, very fun to have. I would suggest playing it on an iPad or a tablet. If you have one, it does take up quite a bit of space, which is a problem, but nevertheless, a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Fallout Shelter on your list because Fallout Shelter was announced tonight. They revealed my number 8 pick, Fallout 4. This was the big one that people had waited years for. Fallout 4 is set in Boston. You play as a soldier living a nice life. All of a sudden, you get the call. Nuclear bombs are coming, and you go into cryogenic freeze with your wife and your baby. And you wake up hundreds of years later to find your spouse is dead and your baby is missing. It's a true fish out of water experience. You have no idea what the world is like. You emerge from your shelter with just a rifle and your wits. You find a dog and that's your companion. And you have to explore the Boston wasteland trying to find your son. Is he dead? Is he an old man? Is he still a baby? You don't know. Fallout 4 is a huge game that took what the previous entries did and built upon it. The level of customization in these games is ridiculous. I have poured hundreds of hours into these games, and I still can't tell you every type of weapon you can make, every type of armor you can make, and the more you play it, the more you discover. There are ways to make money in this game. There are ways to level up your power armor I didn't realize you could do before. It's a huge game, and building settlements is fun and optional. You can build settlements. You can build a town. You can become kind of like the enforcer for the town, helping keep the town safe. And the beautiful thing is if you don't want to do that, you don't have to do that. You can just go be a wastelander and just go have fun exploring the map. My number 8 pick, Fallout 4.
You know, we've been talking a lot about games Bethesda came out recently and the products that they have given us over the time, and you know, the proof that practice makes perfect. So I want to throw it back with my number 7 to the OG, which is Elder Scrolls Morrowind, the OG of open world MMO games, in the game that really brought Bethesda as a studio to a new height, if you ask me. This was the game that turned Bethesda into a big name studio that Microsoft decided was worth $7.5 billion. This is the game that grandfathered all the better games on our list that came in the future. Without this, without Morrowind, you could not have those games. You feel me? Those are the best. This is the OG content. I mean, to this day, if you ask somebody what's your favorite Bethesda game and or games, Morrowind will be at least mentioned. So much content. I know dudes that play this game to this day and are still finding new potions and armors and weapons, and God forbid you add mods to the mix, then you basically got a lifetime worth of gameplay. Elder Scrolls Morrowind is the OG. You better put some respect on that name, and that's why it landed in the number 7 spot.
Morrowind is a great game, and speaking of sequels, my number 6 pick is Dishonored 2. Now, I know some fans are going to wonder, why did I switch 2 or 1, or why didn't I just make them 1? Dishonored 2 takes what the first game did, our number 10 pick, and improves upon it heavily. The game is set about a decade or so later after the first one. The little Princess Emily is now queen, and we learn that her bodyguard, Corvo, who you played as in the first game, is now king. But then someone comes named Delilah, and she says, I am the actual heir to the throne, attempts a coup d'etat and takes over. Emily's on the run, and Corvo is frozen. Now, the cool thing about this game is you could actually switch that up. You can play as Corvo, and Emily gets frozen. But I decided to play as Emily on both my playthroughs because Emily has different skill sets than Corvo. So whereas Corvo had a set of skills that you could they're also newer ones, but she had different stuff that she could do with the game. So it's kind of like the first game, stealth. You want to use stealth. You want to use your wits. You kind of want to use your ingenuity to figure out how you can solve a problem. Yeah, you can go and kill someone, or you can frame them. You might go get a letter and place it on the desk of the newspaper editor and take down that person that way. Or you can set up a crime scene, frame that person for a murder they didn't commit to get them out of the way, or you could kill them. That's my number 6 pick.
Beautiful. A lot of talk of people being frozen, a lot of cold talks, which leads me into my number 5 pick, Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Wait. Don't light the torches yet. Let me explain. For the rest of my list, there's going to be a strong argument for each and as to why they deserve that number 1 spot. But look, man, I love Skyrim, okay? I love Skyrim. I love Skyrim so much, I paid full price for it a year ago. Game came out in 2012. But this is my personal list, so shut up. I get to do what I want. I got to be honest, I replay these next 2 games far more often than I replay Skyrim. But let me praise this game because it definitely deserves it. Skyrim is what I like to call a converter, meaning nerd content that is so good, Chads and normies get into them. Now that's something truly special, and it's a sight to see. And if you get to see it, cherish it. It's a beautiful moment. The type of content that if I was to shout Fos Roda into a crowd, someone would fall over. A legend in its own right. It really only lost because of replayability and my own personal beliefs. Number 5 is Skyrim.
Skyrim was an amazing game. And my number 4 pick is a legendary game. It's Fallout 3. It was the first Fallout game made by Bethesda, and boy, did this change the gaming industry. It was open world. You can play in the first person or third person. You First part of the game, you start in a shelter. You don't know what's outside that shelter. First time I'm playing this game, like, where am I? Why am I in this Fallout shelter? Does this game get any better? And suddenly your dad disappears, and you open the doors, and you have the wasteland of Washington, D.C. right before you. I had never seen anything like it before. This game came out at a time where games were changing, and this was, just an amazing companion piece, and as you could say, a competition to Elder Scrolls. Post-apocalyptic world done right. They have this crazy fun soundtrack from like the 1940s. That's amazing. You go out, explore Washington, D.C. You make friends, you make enemies. You can play as a good guy, you can play as a bad guy. And the story is just great. It keeps you wondering, it keeps you exploring. D.C. is a cool place to see. The Washington Monument, the Capitol, all those places are full of mystery, danger, and adventure. Fallout 3, almost 11, 12 years later, is still one of the greatest games ever made.
With these last couple of choices, this second half of the list, we're really stepping into the realm of legends, and we're stepping on eggshells here, and we may offend a lot of people. That being said, number 3, Doom Eternal. Let's go, baby. Now, I know a lot of you are definitely ready to crucify me for putting Doom over Skyrim, but like I said, this is mine. I can do what I want with it. Replay value at this point is the determining factor. In Doom Eternal, I play on the regular. In all fairness, it has its flaws, right? Multiplayer sucks butt cheeks, but bars, I think. Its campaign is so gosh darn fun that I have played it inside and out. So simple, yet so intense and lovable and addicting. At times, this shit had my blood pressure up and my jaw clenched. Action on fleek. Nothing is more satisfying than this right here. If you say this game is whack, you're either dead inside or lying. Possibly both. We all know what Doom is, how it is, and you love it, and I love it.
It's funny you say simple is better, because that is the reason my number 2 pick is Fallout New Vegas. Fallout New Vegas, published by Bethesda, created by Obsidian, came out. It was a glitchy game. A lot of people felt it was like DLC. However, once the game got patched up, it is arguably, in my opinion, the best Fallout game. New Vegas has a wonderful story. It has a great map. And what's so cool about this wasteland is that because it's in a desert, it looks very Mad Max. Just desert and sand and insects and raiders. The setting is so cool. And what the even cooler part is that in the middle of all that, you got the Las Vegas Strip, and you can't just walk in. You have to earn your way in. And what's cool about the Vegas Strip, it feels so different. The casinos are open. You got showgirls. You got brothels. You got casinos. You can go out and kill some mutants, or you can go back to your hotel, play some blackjack, put on a nice tuxedo, and live like it's 1955, listen to some Dean Martin. Fallout New Vegas is my number 2 pick.
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for.
Number 1, Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Elder Scrolls Oblivion is the one that stole my heart and got away with it. It was my first love. It was my middle school girlfriend that I never got over, and I've always loved to this day. Elder Scrolls Oblivion came out, the early 2000s was truly a beautiful time for all things that weren't real life, all cartoons, animations, video games, because everything had this beautiful, cartoonish, but still sleek and nice looking style to it. This was just before realism took over the world of video games, rather. And nowadays, realism is a necessity. Before this, we could have a cartoon look to it. Things could happen, wacky things could happen in your video game, and people wouldn't label it as trash. Elder Scrolls Oblivion stole my heart, and to this day, it still has it, and I cannot get it back.
Elder Scrolls Oblivion was the first MMO I ever played. I had never played an MMO before, and I was like kind of worried because there's a lot of information. And the second you go out into the world and you see it, it's like, whoa, this is beautiful. This is gorgeous. Look, Skyrim did what it did, but this game, I think, was simpler, was more focused, and it was just a fun story. You're fighting skeletons. The first time you see them, you're like, what the hell's going on? You go to the Citadel. You see this beautiful capital city and this architecture we had never seen in a video game before. And you can walk around. You can talk to people. You can buy stuff. You can do missions. And you can leave the Citadel. You can go out, explore a cave, explore a dungeon. You have to find the heir to the throne. And it is a phenomenal, phenomenal game. And it is why it is our number one choice.
That's right. So much content that it will leave you dizzy at the end of the day. Listen, if for anybody out there listening, Bethesda, thank you so much for doing everything you did for us. We're not mad at you. It's not your fault. Your parents sold you away like a common piece of grocery. On the other hand, Bill Gates, if you're listening, and I know you are, this is your fault.